talk about my third partial project, which is a to-do list that includes a countdown timer, right? So I decided to do this project in a functional manner because I realized that many of the problems that arise from using an object-oriented paradigm are eliminated by using a functional style of programming. The first point that was asked of the project was that it should be done in an MVC pattern. Well, here we're using a programming language called Elm, and a common practice in this language is to follow a similar pattern called the model update view, which centers around having a global model that establishes the state of your application, a set of update functions which allow you to change the state of said application, and a view part which allows you to see the current state of your application. So right here we have our program, which starts with a main, just as any other program. It takes as argument an init, which is the initial state of the of our program, a view, which will let us see the state, and an update. Here we have the part dedicated to the model. Here we have a list of tasks, an ID generator that will assign a different ID for each task, a field which will allow us to create new tasks, as well as a priority field, and our timer. We can see here that we don't need any singleton patterns, since every structure has only the elements it needs, and you can't have more than one model in this case. The tasks are going to follow the following structure: ID, name, completed, editing, priority, the time we have been working on them, and if they are active or not. And the timer has a number of remaining seconds and whether it's active or not. We use a kind of factory pattern with specific functions that allow us to create a new version of a type of object, in this case a new task and a new timer. Here we initialize our model and our application as a whole, and we can move on to the update part. In the update part, we see we can receive several types of messages. These messages will change the current state of our application according to the rules we have defined. Here we have the different messages. We have update field, the create task, edit task, delete task, etc. that will allow us to work on our application. Each of them allows us to edit a very specific part. The subscriptions are a different type of event. They trigger every certain time and allow us to, for example, in this case, keep track of every second, whether if the timer is active, we will subtract a second to it and add a second to the current active task. Here in the view, we just render a bunch of HTML with a special syntax for Elm that just represents the state of the application. So let's dive right into it, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is just run the Elm reactor and go to localhost, go to the source and the main. Here in the main, we can see that this application is very simple. Here we have a field. Each time this is a very interesting part. This is a time traveling debugger. So we can see how the state of our application changes with each of the modifications we make. So we can write pickup box with a high priority, and once we add the task, we have pickup box with a high priority, and the total time we have spent on this task is 0. We can of course delete the task and work on the task. If we see right here, we can see the state has changed. The field is now empty. The ID generator is 1, since we have created another ID, and we have a list of the to-do list here with the information right now. So if we decide to check if something is wrong or something like that, we can just go back through time with our time traveling debugger, right? Let's say we want to work on this task for 20 minutes. We just would click the work on task, and as we can see, every second we receive a new tick message which updates the state of our application. And this state is reflected on the total time we have been working on the current task, and the time remaining on our countdown. Well, this is all for our application. Thank you very much.